You are not suffering because life is hard.
You are suffering because your mind won't stop rehearsing disasters that haven't happened yet. Right now, somewhere in your head, a version of tomorrow is already burning, a relationship ending, a failure announced, a door closing forever, and you are sitting with that imaginary fire, warming your hands on a pain that doesn't exist, while the only life you actually have slips silently away. Schopenhauer looked at human beings, really looked at us, and said something so brutal, it still cuts. Most of your suffering is a fiction you wrote yourself. This is about that fiction, and how to stop living inside it. Here's what no one tells you about imagination. It is not your friend. We romanticize it, celebrate it, call it the engine of art, of ambition, of love. But imagination is also the engine of your private hell, because it doesn't stay where you put it. You give it one fear, one what if, and it multiplies. Like a storm pulling everything into itself, your imagination about suffering grows until it fills every corner of your mind, and everything it builds is a sandcastle. One moment of cold reality and it collapses instantly. All that energy you burned, all those sleepless hours, gone. And the thing you feared either never came, or arrived in a shape your imagination never even predicted. So you suffered twice, once in your mind, once in reality. The wise person refuses to pay that double price, not worrying until misfortune stands directly at your door. That is wisdom, not optimism, not denial, just the quiet refusal to bleed before you are wounded. Now here is where it gets dark. Most people spend their entire lives chasing happiness. They build their careers around it, their relationships, their entire sense of self, and they are perpetually disappointed because unhappiness will find you without any effort at all. Happiness is uncertain. Unhappiness is guaranteed. This is not pessimism. This is the architecture of reality. And once you understand it, everything changes. The goal of life is not to find happiness. The goal is to escape suffering. Those sound the same, but they are not. Chasing happiness is like chasing the horizon. It moves as you move. But avoiding suffering? That is actionable. That is something your hands can actually do. The pleasures this world offers, wealth, sensation, the dizzy rush of momentary freedom, they seduce you completely. But they are mirages. They shimmer, they vanish, and they leave you more thirsty than before. The foolish person runs toward pleasure and falls over and over. The wise person doesn't run toward anything. They simply step away from the fire. Think about a construction site. Workers pour concrete, lay bricks, carry steel. They are exhausted by evening, but not one of them knows what the building is meant to become. Not one of them cares. They were told what to do today, and tomorrow they will be told again. Now ask yourself honestly, is that how you are living? Because most people are. They react to whatever the day demands. They survive the week. They wake up and do it again. Laborers in a building whose blueprint they have never read because they never wrote one. You are not a laborer hired by fate. You are the architect. But to design a life, you must first know yourself. What do you actually want? Not what your parents wanted. Not what your culture handed you. Not the dream you inherited from someone else. What you want, what truly sustains you. Without that, any plan is just guessing in the dark. Schopenhauer had an image for human existence so precise, it almost hurts. A pendulum. On one end, anguish. On the other, boredom. We suffer. We want relief. We get relief. It becomes emptiness. We fill the emptiness with new desire. Desire becomes suffering. Back and forth. Until we die. This is not cynicism. This is an honest account of what most human lives feel like from the inside. And time makes it worse. Time doesn't heal. It intensifies. It takes every wound and reminds you of it until it becomes a scar, and then shows you that scar in the mirror every morning. We live inside infinite time and infinite space, and yet we are finite, small, brief, and at some point, usually in the quiet moments, at 3 a.m., or staring out a window at nothing, the vastness presses down, and you feel the full weight of your own smallness. That is not weakness. That is clarity. The question is what you do with it. Every human being was handed a weapon at birth. Not power, not money, not beauty, reason. The ability to step back from your own impulses and choose differently. No other creature has this. This is what separates us. Not intelligence, but the capacity for reflection, to pause between feeling and action. And yet, most people spend their lives acting on pure emotion, reacting, erupting, deciding in anger what they'll regret in the morning, following impulse into consequences they were warned about, that they knew about, and looked away from anyway. The person who cannot control their emotions is not free. They are a prisoner of themselves. The person who can? That is the sharpest weapon in any room, sharper than claws, sharper than anger, sharper than anything the world throws at them. Your reason is a weapon. Most people never unsheath it. Let me ask you one final thing. What if you lost everything you have right now? Not what you want, but what you have. What if it was gone tomorrow? Your health, the people who love you, the quiet in this moment, the fact that you're alive enough to sit and think about any of this. We don't feel these things until they're gone, and then we would give anything to have them back. Schopenhauer's hope was never the shining kind, never the kind that stares at distant horizons dreaming of glittering things. His hope looks down at the ground beneath your feet and says, "You are already standing on something." Here is everything he ever said, pressed into a single truth. The past is a ghost. The future is a ghost. Your worry is a ghost. Most of what torments you does not exist in the physical world. It exists only in your mind, and your mind built it from nothing, and will rebuild it endlessly unless you decide to stop. The present moment is the only thing that is real, not the disaster you're imagining, not the paradise you're waiting for. This, right now. Stop suffering in advance. Stop building sandcastles out of fear. Stop waiting for life to begin, and start very simply, very quietly, with whatever is true and possible and right in front of you. That is not a small thing. That is everything.